Lusaka's consumption of water demand stands at 400 million liters of water a day. However, the Lusaka Water and Storage Company is only able to supply slightly above 200 million. This is in view of the many challenges, including population growth. On this week's edition of News In Depth, we will be looking at measures that the government and its stakeholders are putting in place to address the water challenges in Lusaka. I am your host, Macpherson Mukuka. Stay tuned. Zambia's population has over the last decade increased by over 5 million. Demographic projections indicate that Zambia will be inhabited by over 17 million people by the end of 2017. The growth in population has come with many repercussions, especially in high-density localities. Lusaka province is no exception. The surge in population has resulted in difficulties to deliver social services to residents. Supply of water and sanitation management top the challenges faced by local authorities. The Water and Sanitation Association of Zambia is alive to the water challenges facing the city of Lusaka. The association notes that poor water supply has become a public health issue.
The water and sanitation situation in Lusaka has seen some slight improvement, but it also states that the water supply provision to the city by the Lusaka Water and Storage Company hasn't been very adequate, mostly because of the limited infrastructure, but also the water intake of the company is such that only 40% of the water that is being supplied in Lusaka is coming from Kafue River, and 60% from the underground water from the borehole. Yeah.
Water, also referred to as a liquid gold to emphasize its value, is a commodity that residents cannot do without. Evidently, the scarcity of water has become more prominent in the last few years due to the surge in population growth. It is now a common scenario to see women and children carrying buckets in search of the much-needed commodity. Dry taps are a prominent feature.
As you've seen for yourself, there is a big challenge of water. I think largely this counter square, we've had a lot of problems here and there, but I think out of it all, we hope that this will be the thing of the past.
We have no water for most of the day, most of the times, and this is not very good.
We have some few challenges some time back that has been running because we don't have water constantly or consistently in homes. So basically what is happening now, sometimes you are going to have water for the next 2 days you are going to not have water.
Apart from an increase in population, several other factors such as inadequate water recirculation and supply facilities, dilapidated water treatment and storage facilities compound the situation. Lusaka province relies on a water treatment plant located at Ayolanda on the banks of the Kafue River in Kafue district. The plant is odd as it was set up prior to the independence of Zambia, and its capacity has been outstripped by the demand. Built in 1970, the treatment plant was designed to cater for a population of about 1.5 million people. However, government is alive to this and is taking remedial measures. Among the measures that government is putting in place to address the water challenges being faced in Lusaka is the rehabilitation of the old water treatment plant at Ayolanda in Kafue district of Lusaka province. The Zambian government, supported by the Millennium Challenge account, has embarked on an ambitious water and sanitation project at a cost of over $300 million United States grant from the American people. Installation of new sewer networks and water pipes in selected townships is underway. Major rehabilitation works have also commenced at both the intake point and the treatment plant in Kafue.
For the last 30 years or so, there have been no major rehabilitation works at this treatment plant. So what the Millennium Challenge Account Zambia is trying to do is to rehabilitate the entire plant here. The major works that we are doing is basically the replacement of the pumps. And after that is done, we are hoping that we'll be able to restore this plant to its design capacity of 110 million liters of water per day. And there are several other works that are being done, just the building itself. There are a lot of building works going on so that the building can look attractive again.
And the Zambia Institute of Environmental Health, ZIEH, has described the project as one that will go into the history books of Zambia as a landmark development. The institution observes that Lusaka has had perennial challenges in dealing with waterborne diseases and sanitation, adding that the project will address the aforementioned challenges.
These are issues which will definitely improve the situation in the city, because as environmental health and public health in general, you are aware that when you deal with water, then you are dealing with quite a lot of things. For instance, I'll give you an example of peri-urban areas. I think we've had challenges in peri-urban areas because that is where a lot of diseases come from, because people do not have safe water. And a project which is coming in to help provide safe water and also deal with the drainage system, and also, of course, deal with sanitation. That is a project which is quite welcome from an environmental health perspective.
ZIEH General Secretary Edgar Murwanda, however, regrets that the project is long overdue.
Lusaka definitely has been facing a lot of challenges, and from an environmental health officer perspective, I think we could have done this a long time ago, because as they say, these are health determinants, and for you to deal with the health determinants, then you are dealing with even the economic aspect of the city, because water has been a challenge. And if people cannot afford to drink safe water, that brings a lot of challenges and a lot of diseases, putting pressure on government resources, because government has to buy a lot of drugs to ensure that we deal with the diseases which are coming about because of these unsafe water and unsafe sanitary facilities, which the project is dealing with. And of course, I would have loved to have these projects come earlier, but that did not happen.
And Wasaza Chief Administrative Officer Jonathan Piri says lack of investment in the water and sanitation sector has come back to haunt the country.
Of course, the governments have done quite a lot before. As you may know, during the sector reform program, in the early years of in the late 90s and the mid 90s, the government embarked on what we call the sector reforms, and that saw the establishment of the current water utility companies, which was a step in the right direction. And but what has been really lacking has been investment in the sector, because the utility companies inherited infrastructure that was old, dilapidated, and obsolete, so that the performance of these facilities hasn't been very, very good.
The rehabilitation of the intake point and the treatment plant demands partial or might require complete shutdown of pumps at the intake point in Kafue, where 40% of the water supply to Lusaka comes from. This, therefore, means that Lusaka will have to depend on the remaining 60% of water supply, which comes from the boreholes dotted around the city. This has not sat well with some residents who claim they were not informed that water will be rationed throughout the process.
Not all the residents that has got boreholes in homes, so which is going to be a major factor, because water is life and we can't do without water. And we're going to have a very poor sanitation, because some of the homes, they don't have pit latrines, they use flushing toilets.
If this situation is clearly explained, then people would have the knowledge and would have understood what is happening. But to say the truth, ask anyone. You will go and interview a lot of people, they don't know even what government is doing. They are seeing people doing some drillings and whatever on the roads, on the what, but they don't understand.
However, Millennium Challenge Account Chief Executive Officer Pamela Bwalia says the organization carried out a robust sensitization drive prior and during maintenance works. The MCA Chief Executive Officer was, however, quick to call for calm from the affected households.
We have a comprehensive program in place to deal with the sensitization regarding the works that are currently going on and what will be expected as a result of the works being done here. We would like to apologize to all the consumers that as a result of these works, we expect that supply will be reduced over the time that these works are being done. And we've put in place a program to sensitize everyone, to tell them about the consequences of these works being done. But it's all being done so that this plant can be more efficient, and it's for the benefit of the consumers. And would like them to bear with us as we go through this period. At the end of it all, they are going to enjoy the benefits of having more reliable water.
Lusaka's current water demand stands at 411 million litres of water per day. And yet, the utility company is only able to supply slightly above 200 million litres daily. It is worth noting that the 200 million litres is not completely from Kafue, as part of the water comes from the boreholes in Lusaka. This is because the treatment plant is only able to supply less than 100 million litres of water daily due to dilapidation of the facility, hence the reason for its complete rehabilitation.
We are busy upgrading the existing plant. It's really run down, so we are doing structural repairs, concrete repairs, so that the wear and tear of the past on the structures, on the concrete, is being reinstated, so that it's got a new lease on life. And then we're also repairing all the mechanical and electrical equipment, virtually all pumps, chemical dosing equipment, and the electricity, just the basic things like lights in the offices, all those things are being repaired so that this is a proper functioning facility at the moment, again in the future. Right now, there's many of the components in the facilities that's not operational at all, which affects the reliability. So after the repairs and the rehabilitation, there will be full reliability and standby, which is not there at the moment.
And Lusaka Water and Sewerage Company Managing Director Jonathan Kampata says the rehabilitation of the plant is targeted at restoring the plant to its design capacity.
At the moment, the capacity in terms of efficiencies of the treatment plant has gone down, right from the intake up to the processing itself. So at the moment, it's processing less than 90,000 cubic meters per day. So with the rehabilitation, it will increase to 110,000 cubic meters per day. So that's an increase in the amount of water which is being processed. So this is going to contribute to the overall quantity of water which we are supplying to the people of Lusaka.
Benefits of the water and sanitation project currently underway are many. Zambia Institute of Environmental Health General Secretary Edgar Mlwanda is positive that the project, once complete, will bring about increased productivity. This is premised on the fact that the people currently affected by the scarcity of water will not have to spend most of the time fetching the commodity. Hence, will use the time to engage in economic activities.
We are very happy that this has come up, and we are happy that we will definitely reduce a lot of pressure on government coffers, because they say prevention is better than cure. And when you talk of prevention, you are talking about creating conducive environments. And how do you create conducive environments to ensure that diseases are not there? It is about providing these facilities, providing these water facilities and sanitation facilities, including the drainage facilities where water can easily flow and get to where it's supposed to go.
Wasaza too is optimistic that the project will address water and sanitation challenges in Lusaka.
More people are going to access, clean water, and also, decent and acceptable sanitation services. And also, more people are going to, there's going to be a reduction in the numbers or in the rate of waterborne diseases occurrence, because we improve water supply as well as sanitation leads to a healthier population, a healthier community, meaning that there will be reduced chances of ingesting or consuming contaminated water or foodstuffs in the areas where our people live.
The Millennium Challenge account is of the view that although the project will not completely meet the target of over 400 million liters demand per day, water supply in Lusaka will at least be reliable.
With that done, we expect that we will be able to pump the water more efficiently into the city of Lusaka, and we expect that the supply of water will be more reliable as these works are done. So that's basically what we are doing in terms of the major works here. There are other works associated with the rehabilitation of this plant. I mean, there are distribution centers being rehabilitated and new pipelines as well being constructed.
To augment the water supply from Ayolanda and help further cushion the demand in Lusaka, the local water utility company has other plans.
Lusaka Water and Storage Company, working together with the government and various cooperating partners, is actively looking into meeting the water demand for Lusaka. As you've said, the demand is about 400,000 cubic meters per day, but at the moment the total supply is only in the region of about 200,000. Now I must emphasize that this plant here only caters for 40% of that supply. 60% comes from groundwater, which are our boreholes. So to augment the groundwater supply, we're also looking at developing a well field in Lusaka West. And we are working together with the Lusaka Water Security Initiative, which is a partnership of various stakeholders, including the private sector. So we're looking at that project as well to bring in more water into Lusaka.
The news that there will be a reliable and steady water supply has elated the residents.
There's no doubt it's an excellent project, and we hail the powers that be that they are doing a good job, and that we are thankful for the project because it will improve the lot of our people. There's no doubt about that. Projects are necessary, projects are important if this country has to move forward.
We have seen a lot of improvement, of course, even on the sanitation. We have seen a lot of improvement, of course, on the works that are being done. Hopefully that by the end of the project that is going on, water problem will come to an end.
It's a good reputation system that is going to improve even our lives as time by. We mustn't look at the challenges. Yes, right now we're going to have the challenges because rehabilitation is taking place. But after rehabilitation takes place, we're going to have a smooth running of life in terms of water and sanitation.
Challenges during such a magnitude of work are to be expected. Johan Opperman, The resident engineer explains.
What is always a problem with old works and records is that what has been specified and needs to be done when you get to the actual works to be executed, there are some unforeseen things which needs alternative materials to be ordered, additional materials and sometimes additional works. So that is the main challenge. Also, many of the things are below water level, so you cannot investigate and see exactly what the conditions are. You can only see it once you start working. The original contract period was till January next year, but the contractors, because of delays that was beyond his control, has been extended, and we expect it to be completed by the end of August next year.
And the Zambia Institute of Environmental Health has appealed to the end users of the facilities to safeguard them, as the facility is meant to improve people's livelihoods.
People take things which are constructed or which are built by the public offices to be for the public, and if I'm an individual, I do not take it as my thing. And what would urge the residents, we urge them to ensure that they take good care of this facility or these facilities which are being brought in this city of Lusaka, so that we can continue enjoying good sanitation and better water services. Because as long as we start vandalizing and we do not care about how someone is doing with a particular public facility, then we'll continue having these challenges which we've been having, and we'll continue seeing the diseases in hospitals and the deaths which we've been experiencing coming from diseases which can be avoided. So the best is avoid vandalism and also appreciate that a public good is also a private good.
And Mr. Piri suggests that policies be put in place that will deter people from digging pit latrines and manholes in non-serviced areas. He says this will help protect the groundwater, which caters for 60% of the water supply for Lusaka.
We are very uncomfortable with the continued use of septic tanks and pit latrines in the city. Worse still for the pit latrines, which are not lined. Traditional structures or technology of pit latrines is such that you only dig a hole and build on top of it. The fecal matter is deposited in a pit latrine in an environment which is not protected, such that there is continuous seepage of the fecal matter into the ground. As a result, I'm afraid we could sooner or later we shall find ourselves with a very few areas that are going to have clean groundwater for human consumption if no intervention is done at this stage.
Meanwhile, the Lusaka Water and Sewerage Company plans to engage the residents on best practices of using water. Managing Director Jonathan Kampata says there is need for consumers to be responsible for their actions.
As a water utility company, we're also going to go into a program which we call water demand management. This is where now we're going to involve the users themselves to use water efficiently. I think there are simple practices which you can engage in, like in the morning when you're brushing your teeth. You don't have to let the tap run. You can use a cup as you brush your teeth and so on. When you bath, when you shower, use your water efficiently. When you're watering your lawns, sometimes it's quite disheartening to see lawns being watered in the middle of the day. I think if you drive around Lusaka, you can see people using our water to water lawns in the middle of the day. It's better they do that in the evening when the evaporation is less. So as we embark on these education measures as well, We hope that we'll be able to manage the demand of the water to be able to meet everybody's needs.
It is inevitable that demand for water in Lusaka will continue to increase, and the water utility company needs to scale up its capacity to meet the growing demand, such as the over $300 million United States investment in the sector by the American people through the Millennium Challenge account will go a long way in addressing the water challenges in Lusaka. Upon completion, the project will result into an increment in the supply of water to Lusaka to about 300 million liters of water per day from the current supply of about 200 million liters.
This is where we come to the end of this week's edition of News in Depth. We have been looking at measures that government and its stakeholders are putting in place to address the water challenges in Lusaka. I have been your host, Macpherson Mukuka. Be sure to join us next week for yet another exciting News in Depth program. For now, it's goodbye and God bless you.